Depending on how old you are and or what your childhood looked like, you likely had one of three reactions when you read the title of this video. Either you have no idea what Pixel Gun 3D is, you played it when you were a kid and just got war flashbacks, or you are a weirdo like me who still plays the game even now. I could probably go on for hours about all the different facets of the game, whether it be the possible copyright infringement of certain skins and levels, the variety of weapons, or how it's evolved over the years. However, today I instead want to talk about a problem that makes this generally fun FPS game oftentimes unplayably frustrating, and it's one I haven't seen too many people within the community be too vocal about: weapons balancing. Before we get into that, though, let's go over what this game even is for those who don't know or just want a quick refresher. Pixel Gun 3D is a first-person shooter game that was created all the way back in 2013, and is probably most recognizable by its Minecraft-like graphics, which makes it more appealing to a younger audience. It is primarily a mobile game, which shouldn't be surprising based on what it is, but it does also have a PC port on Steam. So far as I can tell, there aren't any significant differences between the two, so I'll be playing the PC version and any clips throughout this video, just for simplicity and because that's the version I personally prefer. The game has a lot of different play modes and levels, and is actually pretty good for a first-person shooter, especially considering the fact that it kinda looks like App Store slop at a glance. There's a reason this game has stuck around for over a full decade now, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon, as servers are still consistently full, and there's even a sequel in the works. So, what exactly do I mean when I say that the game has a big issue with weapons balancing? In short, what I mean is that often the weapons you have can make or break your success, often regardless of skill level. In theory, this doesn't sound too crazy. Weapon upgrades are a pretty good incentive in first-person shooters to keep engagement. You wouldn't want to play through the entirety of Doom only with the small gun you start the game with, after all. And yes, I don't think weapon upgrades are inherently a bad thing. That would be absurd. I also don't think there's anything inherently wrong with timed event weapons or microtransactions or anything like that. It's a free-to-play game, so increased engagement and microtransactions are kind of necessary to keep the lights on. So what's the problem, then? One-shot weapons. When I say a one-shot weapon, I specifically mean a weapon that can kill you in one shot when you are already at max health and max armor. This is obviously incredibly overpowered and can be incredibly frustrating to play against. There's no way they'd have that in the game. I'm just making up problems for the sake of yeah. Mind you, I'm fairly good at this game and have well-upgraded armor. A higher-level weapon one-shotting someone who just joined the game 5 minutes ago and doesn't have armor yet would be a completely different story, and I'm pretty sure this is why the game actually has a level requirement to start playing real online matches. However, if you're at a point where you've spent countless hours playing, upgrading, and honing your skills, it gets a lot harder to justify these moments. Not only is it unfair and frustrating to die this way in classic matches, but it most frequently creates a problem in ranked matches, which is the primary reason I'm making this video. If you're unfamiliar with how online FPS games tend to go, there's oftentimes a type of match you can join called a ranked match, in which the game matches you up with people who appear to be at a similar skill level as you. This often comes with unique prizes and incentives, as well as just being a better playing experience for those who want even competition. In theory, this would be a great way to evade the one-shot issue in this game. After all, if you're actually good at the game, then it should only be matching you up with other people at your skill level, not just new players that got lucky during an event and wound up with a ridiculously overpowered weapon. However, Pixel Gun 3D seems to judge your rank largely on your kill count. Are we starting to see the problem? Ranked matches, which should be based on how good you are at the game, instead often become a mixed bag, even worse than classic matches, especially when you get to higher ranks. Because, yes, some of the people you're playing against are at your skill level, but then you have a lot of people who just shoot randomly with their overpowered weapons, and because this results in them racking up a bunch of kills, they'll end up in these higher ranks. I don't think I need to explain why playing against against someone who can insta-kill you every 5 seconds is frustrating, especially when you're looking for actual competition, and it also is especially unfair when there's extra incentives in ranked matches to getting a victory, which can be downright impossible if you have a lot of these players in your match. So, it's clear where the problem lies, but that's only half of the conversation. After all, I could complain all day, but it doesn't hold much water if I can't suggest any solutions. The most obvious solution would be to just remove one-shot weapons altogether, or alternatively, just nerf any weapons that currently have this problem. However, considering this game largely appeals to a younger demographic, it's no question that either of these changes would likely upset a big portion of the player base, which would potentially hurt the longevity of the game, and that is certainly not what I want. In case it wasn't clear, I love Pixel Gun 3D. I'm making this video from the perspective of someone who considers it his favorite FPS and who wants to see the game continue to improve. So I don't think it would be wise to do something that would upset players and make people leave. So, instead, as a compromise between leaving it unregulated and pissing off a bunch of people, the solution I propose would be to disable one-shot weapons in ranked matches and free play, the former of which to make sure ranked matches are actually ranked by skill, and the latter of which because free play mode loses a lot of its whimsy when you're just chilling and suddenly get insta-killed a bunch of times without even enough time between respawns to leave the area. This would still lead to some frustration in classic mode, but there aren't consequences in classic the way there is in ranked, and I think it would make the game a lot more enjoyable for those who engage in it more seriously for ranked matches, while still allowing kids to enjoy their overpowered weapons. But what do you think? Is this an issue you've noticed as well, or am I overreacting? Is there a different issue in the game that you think is more pressing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, consider liking and or subscribing, and I will see you whenever I see you again. Goodbye.